In a double dose of DC casting news, sitcom vet Jason Ritter has joined the cast of Lanterns in a recurring role as Billy Macon, a good-looking charmer who does his father's bidding, clings to his small-town ego, and has everything to lose. Elsewhere, the Penguin actor Colin Farrell has entered negotiations to replace Daniel Craig as the titular sergeant in Luca Guadagnino's World War II film, Sergeant Rock. Do these castings have us wanting to cast stones, or are we down to rock with these roles?
Yes, chef. This is interesting for a lot of reasons. We're seeing the James Gunn effect. He has actors he likes, and he continues to use them in projects, even if that is somebody that's in the same universe. So that's not something he's adverse to. So I will be honest, I like Daniel Craig. He's an interesting actor. If you look at the things he's done, he's got kind of a strange body of work, the James Bond stuff notwithstanding. And even that, he was a unique James Bond. But I remember when we didn't break this story, but when we talked about this story, it was just kind of weird, right? We were all like, this is a weird character. It's weird that Luca Guadagnino is going to direct this film about like this 40s army guy. Like, the whole thing was weird. And I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Craig was like, I actually don't want to do like another universe type movie. I don't want to be tied down to do several films like I was with Bond, because that was, I think, like a 10-year stint that he did as Daniel Bond.
Yeah, of course.
A 10-year stint as James Bond. And so to me, it would be probably more that than anything as to why he maybe stepped away from the role. But getting Colin Farrell in there makes me a little more interested, just because when we talked about like the background of the character, I didn't see Daniel Craig, but I can see some Colin Farrell in there. And because his character on the Penguin is so heavily make-upped and in prosthetics and stuff, it's super easy to step into a different role, just like Gemma Chan did from what was it?
Captain Marvel yeah.
To Eternals. Sure. So, yeah, I like that. And then the Jason Ritter thing, he's just kind of one of those guys, right? He's just always been around, been in TV. He's a Hollywood guy.
He's a where have I seen this guy before actor. Yep. Like you see him and you're like, where have I seen this guy
He's
before?
That TV actor guy. Good for him.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking back to that press conference that James Gunn and Peter Safran had a couple weeks ago that we talked about, where they did the DC Studios update, and he was very intentional to say a couple things in that conference. And one of the things that he hammered was that the Reevesverse and the DC universe, at this moment at least, are separate, and that there were no plans to merge them, and that this is that corner, this is that corner, and Reeves, Batman, and Pattinson, and all that is not going to be part of our universe. And so I think that's a little bit at play here when we talk about the double dipping here of Colin Farrell in a DC project. And then he also made it a point when he was talking about the Sergeant Rock movie, which people were asking him about, was to basically be like, no, Daniel Craig that was just a rumor. That was never, ever, ever even in the conversation, which I just don't believe. Right. Every major trade reported it. No one came out and discredited it either. Even now, when Deadline is reporting this Colin Farrell thing, they're saying at the bottom, yeah, Daniel Craig was kicking the tires on this thing. It just didn't work out, So that's just one of those Gunn things where it's like he has a tendency to kind of be like, no, you all made it up, even though it's clear that insiders in the industry were reporting something that was factual, in that Craig was sniffing this role. It didn't mean he had signed. It didn't mean he signed and then backed out. But it is an interesting choice, and I think that it fits. I mean, it fits with what we know about Luca Guadagnino. I think the Colin Farrell and the pairing there makes a ton of sense. And I think people who are interested, I guess I wonder if people who are interested in Luca Guadagnino / Colin Farrell, are they going to be interested in coming over for a DC project? And will the people who are interested in a DC project, will they be interested to coming over to see a Luca Guadagnino project? Like merging those two worlds, I think is very fascinating. And I think that I don't know the answer to that question ultimately, but I think that's something that I'm just thinking about and wondering. Like, will it get both sides? Will it get your people who love Guadagnino's work and people who love DC, or will people who love DC kind of be like, nah, that's that one guy, I'm not really a fan of his work, and people who love Guadagnino, will they kind of be like, it's that DC stuff, I'm not really a fan of that, and I think that's the danger zone, but I think that's something to watch going forward with this thing.
It's interesting because it really kind of depends on how they market it, right? This is a Sergeant Rock movie. No one knows Sergeant Rock as a DC superhero. Obviously some people do. Some people do.
In issue 134, he was introduced.
Obviously there are people, I'm sure there are people who this is their favorite character, but this is not a well-known character. If they came out and just made it a World War II movie and it had DC Studios in the opening crawl, but like nothing, no connection or none of that, like it's just, and in the marketing it's just about a World War II story, like this would get, then you worry about, is it going to get the Luca Guadagnino fans and the grandpas who like World War II movies, what's the crossover there, or the history teachers who like World War II movies.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. History Channel grandpas / History Channel dads. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a real subset of person.
This could be a very different kind of 4 quadrants.
Like you loved Challengers, but you also have the people who loved Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, if you can hit those two, you're just going to hit everyone in the middle by mistake. I mean, like, it's going to be good. A lot of splash damage.
Yeah, I agree. I think this obscurity of the character that we're referring to, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, it could give them a lot of freedom to play around and do something really different, and they don't risk alienating fans. But I do think, looking at having Colin Farrell kind of at the forefront here, it speaks to a desire to kind of mitigate risk on this thing, right? Like Luca Guadagnino, he's proven himself, but he's still kind of a risky filmmaker. Like everything we've been saying here, we don't know how that'll really land. They have the potential to really rub some people the wrong way if you take this character that they have any level of familiarity with, who's supposed to be a macho, rah-rah, gung-ho kind of hero of yesteryear, and if you do anything, in opposition to that, you might get some backlash. I do have to note, I find it interesting that when we have an American character like Sergeant Rock, he is an American soldier, and we have not yet contemplated an American actor at all. It's like, all right, let's just go from Brit to Irish guy. And I say that jokingly, I don't really have a big issue with it. It's tough to be mad at the prospect of Colin Farrell. The dude exudes charisma and talent, but it is. Can we not just give, somebody else an opportunity? I think of like Eben Moss Bachrach over in the Fantastic Four. He was like a guy that I was like, kind of new, but now he's getting his chance. And surely there's another actor like that could be given their opportunity. But to address Jason Ritter over here on the Lanterns casting, I don't want to be too much of a downer here, but this is kind of the first instance with this show that I have a little bit of like hesitation. I'm like, okay, we knew that this was going to be Earth-based. We knew that this was going to be a smaller story, but just like thinking about like, I just get vibes of like, small town, Southern good old boy, like, you're not going to come into our town, you lanterns, and throw off the, the systematic oppression that we've been living in and benefiting for so long. It's like, okay, if we do that for like a couple of episodes, cool. It's a recurring role. We know that Sinestro is going to be a part of the proceedings, but I'm cool with it being Earth-based. I'm cool with the True Detective inspiration. I just hope it's not too much like things that we've seen in the past. Like even Watchmen kind of comes to mind. Watchmen was great, but it kind of did a similar thing with a backdrop of a small town kind of, grappling with the fallout of being around superpowered individuals, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm with you on the Colin Farrell of it all. He's earned my trust. I think it'd be interesting if he takes on this role and gets a lot of acclaim for playing another DC role, because like with Luca Guadagnino directing and it being a disconnected movie, I can kind of get that Joker feel of being like a little smaller, lower budget, more artistic, maybe, probably a very different vibe than the Joker, but you know what I mean, sure. In those specific ways, like the Joker. But yeah, I think that Colin Farrell, it would be really interesting if we like end up loving 2 DC roles by Colin Farrell. Just like he's like the best DC actor,
Hey, you just throw GI Robot in this thing for continuity, and we'll be all right.
Oh yeah,
there we go.
Fits perfect. It's already written for you. It's already there. You don't even have to stretch it.
Hey, Sean Gunn can cameo as Calendar Man while he's there.
Luca Guadagnino is like actively resisting a GI Robot cameo right now. Like he's in a meeting with James Gunn, being like, "Please, listen, I have a vision for the
Please don't put your brother in this thing.
Yeah,
No shade to Sean Gunn.
yeah, no shade at all. But
Yeah, he's doing well for himself. He's got Weasel, GI Robots.
He's isn't he
Lord?
Maxwell Lord? Yeah.
Yeah.
what? I didn't know that
He's
yet.
Maxwell Lord too. He's placed 3
Yeah.
characters in the DCU and hasn't even. I mean, it's barely started.
3 for now.
Yeah. Wow. That's wild. You just watched a clip from Multiverse News. If you liked it, go to our channel. We got a whole episode that it comes from. So go check that out and hit the like and subscribe. And we got lots of clips you'll enjoy, but also full hour-long episodes of Multiverse News with lots of things that don't even make it to clips. So check us out.
You stay clippy.